In this video, I'm gonna be sharing with you 3 simple habits that will get you to stop overeating. And the best part is you don't have to take a shot every single day or once a week to be able to solve this problem. If you're new to this channel, my name is Coach Royce. I've been a trainer for 15 plus years. We own 2 gyms here in Las Vegas, and we've helped hundreds of people get to their weight loss goals by solving for one of the most common problems that we see, which is overeating. So with that said, let's get right into it. All right, habit number 1 is write down the emotion before you eat it. I think this habit is by far one of the most important because I don't think overeating is a problem. And the reason why I say that is as you start to exercise and you're doing more strength and you're adding more muscle and your metabolism is increasing, one of the byproducts is your appetite starts to increase. And if we have the notion and the idea that overeating is bad, your progress will be hindered in some way in the future. It's important to recognize, why am I overeating? Is it because I'm tired? Is it because I'm angry? Is it because I'm stressed? Or is it just because my body is hungry? And if it's hungry, I think you probably should eat more. When do I actually use this habit the most? I have tendencies to use this habit the most in the morning and also at lunchtime, because I recognize that the highest levels of stress that I have throughout the day is typically in between these 2 times. And I'll start to notice that I overeat because I'm either anxious, angry, or tired. And those 3 big emotions, I start to notice that there's a pattern. And when I see patterns, I can really start to understand what the real problem is. Is it really overeating, or is it because I'm just stressed out? And if I'm just stressed out, what would happen if I'm not stressed? Can I solve for that? And will that help me not overeat? Habit number 2 is activate your 5 senses when you eat. Now, for the most part, grab yourself your little food journal and then write down the 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, hear, and see. And for each category, write one thing down that describes the food that you're eating. Why does this habit work really well is it forces us to slow down our eating. And when we start to slow down our eating, by the time we're 10, 15, 20 minutes into that meal, we feel full. By that time we're there, we're not grabbing a second plate or a third plate. The other thing is, when we start to write our foods down and we're becoming present by understanding our current senses while we're eating this, it starts to bring our stress down. Another reason why this habit works really well is it starts to anchor us into the present. And when you anchor yourself into the present by writing these 5 senses down, it just reduces our stress. Another thing that's really cool about this particular habit is you can apply this to a lot of your desserts, a lot of the foods that you crave and you love the most. I recommend experimenting the next time you eat a dessert, what your body feels like by the end of it. And what I've seen with my clients, as they start to eat these desserts, they're all in. And a lot of times they get full before they even finish the whole thing, or they're just so satisfied by the end of it, they're not gonna go for a second or a third. Habit number 3 is put a 15-minute timer on the clock. So as soon as you're done finishing your meal, grab your phone, set 15 minutes on a timer, and don't eat anything until that timer rings. Why does this work? For the most part, when we start to consume our meals, our body eventually starts to expand, or our stomach eventually starts to expand. And that expansion is a signal for our brains to release hormones like leptin, which is responsible for creating this satiety or this fullness. By just allowing our brains and our bodies to catch up to how we feel, we have less tendencies to eat more. This habit is particularly useful for at the end of the night, because at the end of the night, we're tired, we're hungry, and a lot of times we're stressed out. So we tend to pile on the most food in our dinners. So I like to use this habit after dinner. In the past, when I didn't have this tool, I would eat somewhere around 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 servings of food before I even got full. And if you do the math for one plate, at least for me, it's somewhere around 900 calories to 1500 calories. When you're stacking 1, 2, 3, or even 4 of them, that's like 3,000 to 4,000 calories and dinner. So what happens if I'm still hungry after 15 minutes? chances are your body probably needs it. And I love this particular tool in general because this is an indication that possibly I need to increase my portion sizes in my meal. Especially if you start to exercise more, you're doing strength and conditioning more, you're just more active throughout the day, your body will need more. The more muscles you have, the more metabolism you have, that means the more calories you'll need just to sustain it or to grow it. So if you're hungry, I recommend adding a little bit more protein into your next meal, adding some vegetables, and even adding a little bit more carbohydrates, and then finish that plate and then start that timer all over again. As you start to stack these habits, you're gonna notice that some of these habits work really well at night, while others might work really well in the morning. And the goal from this episode is to get you an idea of what essentially will work best, because you don't have to do all of these habits for every single meal. You might not have the time or the energy to do all three of them, but practice one or two of them and see which one's going to serve you the best. Because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you just have less tendencies to overeat, and that hopefully will result in you losing your next 5, 10, 20, 30 pounds in this journey. If you guys like this episode, you probably like this episode we did on a 7-week blueprint to lose your first 10 to 30 pounds. And the best part is you don't have to count a single calorie. And as always, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.